I have some good news for you. More people are going to land their dream wildlife job in the next few years than they have in all of human history. Wildlife vacancies, those that are even advertised, that is, are absurdly competitive. If professional success for you means working with primates, if you do what other successful people do, if you plan, if you set goals, if you just don't quit, you eventually get the job. The Practical Animal is a chat show. Through interviews with wildlife professionals, we chart their rise to success, providing a career roadmap for you to follow. Watch this video for an excellent summary of what it takes to work in the wild with Slow Lorises and Tarsiers. So if career success for you means working with Slow Lorises and Tarsiers, how do you get there? Dr. Priscillia Miard is my guest today. If you're learning English as a second language, this video will be useful because you will hear two accents, a British and a French one. And before we go any further, I would like to say thank you to my subscribers. Without you, there would be no channel. Working with primates and living the wild life looks like this. Priscillia, what jobs are there with slow lorises, both in their home range countries and ex situ?
Yeah, this is a really good question. Actually, there is quite a lot because we don't have a lot of people working on slow lorises. You can count them in the hands, and we all know each other. There is technically a few big projects, one in Indonesia, but except that, it's mostly like us, few people here and there, one person in Malaysia, maybe one in Thailand, one in Cambodia, here and there. So it's like really scattered. So we really need more help because we don't know much about most of those species. We don't know their ecology. We don't know their diet. We don't know, like basic biology about them. We don't even know all the species yet. We still have a lot of species to be described. And also, like you mentioned, in situ and ex situ, right? So the problem is like at the moment, there is only few rescue center taking care of lorises. A lot of countries don't even have any rescue center for lorises, like here in Malaysia. So it's really hard because they just, they catch those animals and they just release them in the forest. So this is a big problem because we know that they will probably die, either because they don't know what to eat or because the other lorises will kill them. So there's quite a bit of study on that. So there's actually quite a lot of work to be done all over Southeast Asia in general, in many, many countries. We really need more people.
Wow, wow. Priscillia, what do you do?
Oh, what do I do? A lot of things. So I'm actually a lecturer at the university here in Sabah, the local university called Universiti Malaysia Sabah. So I'm a lecturer, but mostly a researcher. So I study those animals with other animals in the forest at night. So I look at what they do, where they are. I'm not myself doing genetic work yet, but I'm coming into it soon. I also work a lot with tourism to try, to have better practices for night tourism, which is something here in Sabah people are really interested about, which is really good. So yeah, that's my main job, I will say. But on the side, I do a lot of other things, like helping people here and there, a lot of other things. Yeah, instead of just research.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And Priscillia, do you do it for personal satisfaction, professional recognition, or the money?
That's a really good question. If it was for the money, I would have done another job. But I think it's changing a lot though. No, I started one day working with lorises in Malaysia 13 years ago, and then I fell in love with working at night with them. So I just been doing that ever since. So it's really passion, I think. When you're passionate, You can really do anything, even if it's hard. I spent many, many years with not much money, non-paid, which is really good. But again, I think it's changing a lot in this field. Nowadays, people can actually do their job and being paid, which I think is really good. Because we need more of that. I mean, we are used, to being volunteers, do a lot of volunteering job, a lot of places. I think it's good a little bit to learn, but it shouldn't be, the main, I would say that source of income or manpower for a lot of places. Mm, Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Priscillia, how did your career develop?
Oh, you mean as a primatologist, right? In
Yes.
general, there's so many fields, like people often are not aware how wide this job is. Of course, like me, I'm a lecturer, which is maybe the main obvious reason you work in academia, you do research, you study those animals. But then there's also a lot of rescue centers. Like I said, some people have been really, I say that I've done really well. So they have done rescue center slash tourism, which brings in a lot of money to help those species, which is really good. But this is just the obvious one. On the side, there can be so many things. You can work with local communities and hunting. You can also be a lawyer, you can be a teacher at a school, any job really, where you can talk and learn about those animals to help everyone understand. That's why when people always ask me, do I need to be a biologist to, do conservation and work with wildlife? I said, no, you can be any job in the world. We need everyone. Even nowadays, right, with AI, computer, we need computer people, we need like a lot of things on the computer. You can be, for example, a designer. A designer, do beautiful artwork or beautiful materials that helps a lot to learn. You can be an artist. So it's not limited. That's why I say we do a lot of other things on the side. Normally, we have more than one passion or things we do on the side of our work, but it's unlimited. There's really a lot of opportunities.
For somebody watching this, Priscillia, who wants to be you, what skills do field primatologists need?
This is a really interesting question because I think it can be two answers to that. You can have the traditional answer, I will call. You need to, be good in data analysis or in the field in general, spend long hours in the forest, or you need to develop certain skills, for example, working as a team or be able to talk to people from different backgrounds, especially when you want to work with communities. But I would say from my own experience, I think the most important is passion. If you love what you're doing, the rest will come. All those soft skills or other skills that you can learn on the side, like I said, data analysis or writing, if you want to write scientific paper or just newspaper or books or stories, I think all of that is things you can learn. Like myself at school, I was not always the best. But I still ended up doing what I love just because I love what I was doing. And I think that's something that is often underrated a lot. But passionate people will go a long way, more than other people, I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Priscillia, what should volunteers or interns or new entrants into field primatology wear for an interview, for example, to your laboratory?
Yeah, so I think question can be anything from what is the field work like? Because different primatologists studying different species will have different, requirements. Like for me, you need to work at night. It's not easy for everyone. Most people, they just want to sleep. It's not easy to be awake at night. But of course, yeah, like what is required for the field? Like you said, what skills, do I need to have or not to do this? But also maybe things like what is expected of me. Because even myself, when I started, right, they asked me what you want to do. And I've never been, in Malaysia before in my life. So I have no idea, what animal you have, what you can do, how it is really different from where I'm from in France, like, weather-wise and also nature-wise. So I think those are really good questions, but also things like, what do I need in the forest, right? What do I need to bring? Because we often see people coming not properly dressed for the forest. because maybe they think it's like going to the forest in their own country, which is quite different. Especially here, it's really hot and humid, so you don't need that much. But I think other questions can be really, depending on the person. Maybe they have something they're a bit worried about. Like sometimes I'm asked, what about disease? And I think when you want to volunteer somewhere, you have to ask question more about yourself, right? More than asking question about the project, because we think that you already looked into the project before, right? Online, or if there's something you're not sure about, for example, where you work, what kind of places, how many people, because sometimes also if you have a small project, people are a bit worried, they prefer like having a lot of people around, things like that. But for myself, I like when volunteer really ask me question to show that they're interested and what they want to know more, in terms of fieldwork, the project, the species, things like that.
I have to ask for interns or new entrants that come and it's their first time in that kind of forest. What's their first reaction when they see a tiger leech?
Oh my God, it's always the same from everyone. It's like, and then making a lot of noise and like don't really know what to do. And I'm like, it's okay, stay calm. It's not going, but I do understand like when we arrived there, even me myself, the first time, it's quite disgusting. But everyone screamed. That's the first reaction from everyone. It's like, what's going on? Which is quite funny. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Um, Priscillia, for people coming to an interview with a possible project idea or to join your project, what are good questions they can ask?
Hmm. Um, yeah, because it's from their side, right? Not so much from our side asking question. Um, I guess, like I said before, like volunteering, but like for work is a bit different. But it's more like, how much work I'm required to do in the field, depending on my project. For example, if I have a project idea, I want to study this. So how long do I need to spend on the field? Because maybe certain project, it's maybe a few weeks, certain project, maybe a few months to a year. So they really need to, ask question about what is really required of them. Like for example, do you expect me to be here all the time or not? Do I work on my own or do I have people with me? I think there's so many questions. It's really hard and it really depends on the person. Because like I said, we all have different worries. But I think it really depends. If you have your own project in mind, it's a bit easier. But if you don't know and you want to come and do, let's say, an internship or a project here, like I used to do when I started, I had no idea what to do. We can help them, to refine the question, ask them, what they like. So I think coming a bit with ideas of what we're interested about, into an interview is good because then we can help them refine, what are your interests? Is there any specific field that you like? This kind of question.
Mm. And Priscilla, what questions regarding slow loris conservation would you like to see answered in the next 5 years?
Oh, this is a really important one. So we have a lot that we need to do, but I think the most important will be, first of all, the genetic. So we need to really finish what's been started by Dr. Anane Karis, which is doing great. But we have a lot of areas which are like a gray zone, I call that. Like, for example, where I work in Borneo, we barely have any DNA sample. Other country like India, Thailand, Bangladesh, I know it's quite wide, but we're also missing a lot of DNA sample from those places. I mean, in general, a bit everywhere throughout their range, but there is area we don't know anything. We don't know really where they are, how many species. And this is really important because for the next question, right, for conservation, how can we help those species, for example, having more rescue centers? That's something I really would like to see. We need more rescue centers throughout their range because the thing with lorises that we know, they live around people a lot, especially in the village, in the plantations. So often people, they will find it and, oh, let's put it back in the forests. And I said, no, no, that's not where they live. They live around people, which bring more threats. So one will be DNA and one will be like more rescue centers and places like this. And I guess other things will be like more about their general care in captivity, because there's a bit of work that has been done. But again, because every species is different, they might have different needs. So we need to, like, for example, have more research, on their social and behavior in the wild. But also people, we need to know more about interaction with people. Because in a lot of places, we think there is no threat at all with those species. But actually, even myself, I found out recently where I live that people eat them. And then people get sick because of eating them. And it's something I didn't even know about because it's just one village in the middle of nowhere. So I think we really need to work more with the local population to learn, what they know about those animals, what do they do with them. So I think those are the topics that we really need to work on.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Um, Priscillia, how many species of slow loris are there?
That's a good question. It keeps on changing. A few years back, we were at 12, then now it's around 18, and there is more coming up. So I cannot give you like a final answer because I know the work is in progress from certain people. So there is more species being described. And again, it could be even more than that, like speculatively, right? More than 20 species, but we don't know yet.
Mm,
But for now, it's around 18, 19 species, depending who you talk to. Because even if you look on the IUCN Red List, there is only a few species recognized, not all of them yet. So that's the issue mainly. It's knowing how many species are out there.
mm. Is each species already recognized as endangered, Priscillia, or data deficient?
So that's, yeah, really good question. So most of the one currently described, they're either vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. But just to give you an example, the critically endangered one is the one where we have the most study on, which is the Javan slow loris, which has been studied for more than 10 years. And all the other one who are vulnerable, there is no data at all. So this is a bit the problem we have with the IUCN Red List because a lot of species are not considered endangered, but it's just because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the data. And then, of course, on top of that, you have all the ones that are data deficient or not even recognized yet by the IUCN. Because first they need to be recognized and then they be put on the data deficient until we have data to know what's going on.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow, incredible.
So we have a bit
Brilliant.
of everything, but again, the most endangered one is the one we know the most about.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm. I can probably guess the answer to this next question, but Priscillia, where do our knowledge gaps lie in slow loris conservation biology?
Yeah, so I already, I think, mentioned a bit all of that. But like I said, knowledge gap goes from DNA, species, but also the numbers. We don't know how many are out there, especially different type of habitats. Like I said, they live a lot around people. There is not enough study of wildlife around people because people like, national parks, protected areas, but those are not where most wildlife actually live. We plant food, we have easy food source. They're like us, they're like, oh, it's easy. I go there. Why would I stay in the forest where I can have easy food in the village, right? So this is the gaps that we don't know, but also, like I said, in terms of behavior, ecology, interaction with other species also. Myself, I'm studying now Slow Loris and Tarsier interaction because they live in similar areas. So also like how do they interact with other species? But like I said, threats in general, like what's going on with people and lorises everywhere. So we know a little bit from certain species, but not everything. So there is quite a lot of knowledge gap. Yeah.
Priscillia, can you suggest a research topic for a student watching this?
Yeah, so the first one will be again, like I said, about DNA. I would love people, if you want to come to Malaysia, we have a lot of solaris here to be collected. We have no sample yet. So we are working towards that. And I think the second one will be really a bit more of trying to calculate populations or numbers of animal out there because the current statistic that's being used to calculate numbers is not adapted to nocturnal mammals. So most of the time we don't have enough sighting to be able to calculate numbers. So I always tell people, why don't we change the stats? So if someone is good at stats, statistics, and want to come and help us do modeling and all those things can be online, it can be here, but we need someone who can help us adapt the stats to those animals because we cannot continue trying to use something that's made for animal during the day. We have to adapt our work to nocturnal animals. And I know it can be done. We just need someone who's really good at it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, wow. Um, there is a very well established and well known research site in Sabah. It's the Danum Valley Field Centre. Is that where your research is?
No, so I've been there a few times, but I don't really like to work in protected area, like I said. I do go sometime if I need to do specific project, but I mostly work around villages.
Okay.
I like to work around people because that's again where you have most animal who are also under threat. But Danum Valley is a great place in Sabah for research because they have a really long established research center that's been there for many years, and they do have quite a lot of slow loris there. I've even seen them even a couple mating, which was really cute. So there are quite a lot of them. And also Danum Valley is a really strategic place, both for research and tourism, because a lot of people go there. So we can have a lot of sightings, people know where the animal are. So that's also really good, for example, for DNA research, if we ever need to go and collect samples, people, they know where those animals are.
Mm,
Yeah, but really
mm.
good place to visit.
Fantastic, fantastic. And uh, Priscillia, what about the literature? Are there any books on slow lorises, or is it all research spread across the journals?
So actually, if you type on Google Slow Loris book, you can find quite few things. So mostly there is a lot of like animated books, like drawing books for kids or like storybooks. But we do have one big research book about slow loris ecology and conservation, which I also participated in, which was published a few years back, and it's literally a book everything about slow loris.
Wow.
So if someone wanted to learn more and work with those animals, I really recommend to buy that book because it's really comprehensive and it's really everything about slow loris, and it's really nice.
Mm. What's the title of the book, please, Priscilla, and who's it by?
So the exact title, it's let me look again because I think I forgot a bit, but it's Evolution, Ecology, and Conservation of Lorises and Pothos. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Who's the author?
So it's multiple authors, but the editor were Dr. Anane Karis and other slow loris researchers. So you can look online.
Oh,
But
brilliant.
there's many, many authors inside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're one of them.
Yeah, a lot of Solaris people, and we all know each other, like I said.
And Priscilla, what about the conference circuit? What conferences should students be looking for?
Yeah, so this is we have a lot of really good conference, both in primatology and not in primatology. So of course, the most obvious one is the International Primatological Society conference, the IPS, who is every 2 years. So the next one will be in China in 2027, which will be really exciting. No, sorry, 2026. No, 2027, sorry. And then we have a lot of local conferences depending on where you are in part of the world. For example, we have the British Ecological Society Conference, we have the European Conference. Here in Asia, we have the Asian Primate Symposium. Next year, we'll be here in Sabah, actually, and I'm the organizer, which is quite cool. I'm really excited to have everyone coming to Sabah. But then you also have other conference in North America and South America, so you can look at your local chapter. But we also have a lot of other conferences that I really recommend, like, for example, the Association for Tropical Biology and Conservation. So they have the ATBC conference, which is one of the best I've ever attended because it's not just about primatology, but it's all about ecology, conservation, and it's really Asia based. So it's actually really, really nice. And then, of course, there is a lot of others, but that's the main one I really recommend to attend.
Mm, mm, mm. What about the captivity scene, Priscilla? Where are the rescue centres? Do they advertise themselves? Is there a varying standard of care and rehabilitation? How does it all work?
So for the most known and good rescue center, they all have really good standard because they work with the experts to always ask questions. So for example, you have one in Thailand, which work with the governments. So this one is really good because they really have the best care, but it's not really well promoted or talked to the public because it's, like I said, in line with the government. So you cannot just go like that in. But you have I think the one in Thailand, the other one is the Friend Foundation, Thailand, Wildlife Friend Foundation. They have a really, really amazing rescue center. And then you have one in Indonesia also, the Indonesian, it's ERR, so Indonesian Animal Rescue, which also take care a lot of slow lorises. But except that, there is, like I would say, some sporadic rescue center here and there, but they don't really have really good standards, especially when managed by governments, because, it's not easy to have the care, the facilities, and also the money to do that most of the time. Or again, because Loloris is not a big species, we don't really care, so we just release them in the forest like that, and we think, yeah, they will survive and they will be fine. But except that, I know there is quite few zoos all over the world who have raised successfully slow loris. Breeding them is another story because it's not so easy. But there is few places, like I said, with really good standard, but they're really limited. You can count them in one hand. It's not a lot. So
Mm,
we need more of those.
mm, mm. When you look back, Priscillia, on your own career as a field primatologist and how it developed, what advice would you give to your young self? Anything you would do differently?
That's a good question because I don't think I would do anything differently because even if it was hard, I love where I am right now. I'm having a great job. I do what I like every day. I'm really, I have a flexible job where I really do what I want. As long as, of course, I give result to my boss. Of course, I think I would have loved to work more into the rehabilitation and rescue parts, but it's really hard when you're a foreigner, especially coming to another country, because, financing, I mean, except if you're a rich person, then you can do that. But I'm not. So that's why it's a bit hard to go into this field when you don't really have the money behind. Or you can do it, but then you will suffer. And I know many people who go into this field and they really, really struggle every day just to feed themselves. So I don't think I will change anything, and I will just have done the same thing, I guess. Yeah.
Mm. What advice can you give to other aspiring field primatologists, Priscillia?
Yeah, I think this one I can talk quite a bit more than myself, because, like I said, time I've changed a lot. So I think the first advice I will give to a lot of people is please do not work for free for a long period of time, because people are being used to be volunteer, especially in places that make you pay to be a volunteer. So there is paying and paying. Some places make you pay a little bit, for your accommodation, food, but other places they actually make money out of you. And normally those places don't have really good standards. They are not so much about the animal, but more about the people having fun with the wildlife, if I can call it like that. Um, but that's one of the main, I think, thing I will tell people is be paid for your time. Because we don't have a lot of other job in the world where people ask you to work for free. Oh, you love nature, you work for free. Sorry, ask your electrician or even the firefighter or anyone to work for free, right? What are they going to tell you? Yes, but not all the time. You can be volunteer. I know a lot of firefighters, they are volunteers on the side, but they have another job. You cannot survive like out of working for free. I did it myself because I did my studies. I barely had any money, so it was really hard to do. But that's the first advice. And the second advice, I think, is don't listen to people. Just do what you care and just do what you're passionate about. Because, like I said, when you love what you're doing, nothing is impossible. You can really do a lot. Like myself, I'm from the countryside in France in the middle of nowhere. I grew up with like cows and fields, and now I'm a lecturer in Malaysia studying nocturnal wildlife, which is crazy by itself, right? Like, so that's what I mean. You can really push your boundaries as far as you want, as long as you love what you're doing. And yeah, because if you love it, you can really learn everything you can learn on the side. So that's my second advice to everyone. Please do not listen to people who are telling you you cannot do something because everything is possible. And then what else? I guess my last advice will be don't be scared to ask people for their help, for their, but the right people. Do ask questions, do contact people in their field because often we are scared, right? Let's say there is someone who is a specialist in this species. I think, oh, I can never contact them because they will never answer. No, don't be scared. Everyone is human. You can just reach out. If they reply, good. If they don't reply, it's okay. Move forward, find someone else. But we're always too shy to ask and talk to people. So I think that's something that even me, I need to practice more. But we all need to be a bit less shy.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. Priscillia, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Hmm. Good question. I think we talked a lot already. But I think the last part I want to say to everyone out there, right, who is watching, just, try to think about what you like, what you're passionate about. And if you don't know, do go around, volunteer here and there for a short amount of time. Or, just go discover by yourself. You never know. I came here the first time not knowing what I was doing, and then I loved it, and then I keep on doing it like more than 10 years later. So sometimes, or because our world is quite limited, especially back home, right? Sometimes we only know what's around us. So it's good to explore a bit more, and not be afraid, to go a bit beyond the boundaries that is around us. So I think that's the last thing I would like to add.
Hmm.
And again, slow loris need your help. So we need more lorises people. So please join us. We are a big international group of people studying slow loris. So we always welcome a lot of people to join. Oh, and one more thing. When you go at night, use red lights. Don't use white lights. It's much better for the animal. You will see more. You won't disturb them. And it's something actually Loris's people have been fighting for a long time to change practices at night, to use better practices in terms not just of light, but research in general. So please look, there is other option out there, and we use red light for a reason. It's much better for you. It doesn't hurt the animal, and you see way more. So that's something I really recommend people to try.
Oh, that's fantastic. Brilliant. Uh, Priscilla, you are a senior lecturer at the Universiti Sabah Malaysia. Thank you so much for being on the Practical Animal channel, Dr. Priscillia Miard.
Thank you so much for having me. I think it's, I love to share about what I do and all the animal we study. And we need, a bit more of positivity in this world. So I'm happy to share always.